Now this is something I never thought I'd be saying, but Postscriptum has been saved and it's still alive. If you're out of the loop, Postscriptum has recently been acquired by Offworld Industries. Offworld Industries being the guys who created Squad and the OWI core engine, which was used to develop Postscriptum, develop Beyond the Wire, and the recent Starship Troopers game. And yes, I did say the game has been saved, and I'm saying this because if you didn't know, at the beginning of the year, the entire dev team for Postscriptum had been fired. There's still been no official communication about it, but it is known that is what happened. But now, the game has been saved and there's a new dev team that will be making new content and pushing the game forward. Yes, there is going to be a new roadmap that will be released, I believe, at the beginning of next year. So, what's actually happening? So, the dev team that is carrying the game forward are the devs of Chapter Mercury, a mod for Postscriptum. Now, I played one of the maps they made for the initial mod, which I don't think fully released because of issues that happened when the original dev team were fired. And the map, and I believe the whole mod, was going to be based around Crete, and the map itself was really good to play. So I'm quite looking forward to the fact that these devs are going to be working on Postscriptum and pushing the game forward. I have reinstalled the game and I played, I think, 3 games last night. The footage you're seeing now is from those games. And I think in this hardcore, large-scale, tactical shooter space that Postscriptum sits in, it's quite a big deal that this game is being, like, quote-unquote saved, because there's not many games in this space, right? You could say there's the Armor series, or say Armor 3, but I think that sits more towards like a more hardcore or milsim side, so maybe you don't count that. But there's Squad, Hell Let Loose, and that's pretty much it. There was Beyond the Wire, but really, I think that game struggles to get more than 10 players a day now. And yeah, that's it. We did have some other games to look forward to. There was 83, a large-scale Cold War era shooter. That game got put on hold, then the dev team got shut down, but now that game's been acquired and that is being brought forward again, but I think it's in a pre-alpha state. There is Burning Lands, which, like, what's happening with that? I mean, the Kickstarter is not gonna it's not gonna hit its goal. Loads of drama behind that game. I'm gonna make a new video on that soon, but I'm not really sure if that game is ever gonna happen. And yeah, Hell Let Loose. I mean, the 2 main games in this space, I would say, are Squad and Hell Let Loose. So to have another game sort of come back and hopefully bring in more players is a good thing. And it's more competition for that space. And quite importantly, it's more competition directly against Hell Let Loose. Because Hell Let Loose, it's not really had a good year. I'm going to be making a video on everything that's happened this year with Hell Let Loose and looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly. So for Postscriptum to come back, put more pressure on the devs for Hell Let Loose is a really good thing. Now, if you haven't played Postscriptum, is it worth it? And if you've played Hell Let Loose, what major differences are there? Well, first off, you have servers that can go up to 120 players now. The game is, I would say, more hardcore than Hell Let Loose. You don't have like a ping system to just point at someone and say ping enemies, on my ping. I think I might be making a whole video looking at the ping system for Hell Let Loose and how it's changed the game. I think Postscriptum is more brutal. It requires more teamwork. Infantry squads have up to 9 players in them instead of 6. The roles are slightly different, and you will actually see a lot of people just playing the rifleman kit because of how roles work, and you can only choose certain, let's say, special kits within the squad. You can only have a certain limit of, I think it's maybe 2 special kits within the squad, or 3 maybe. Then everyone else has to be like a rifleman, and you can have a couple of medics. The maps are a lot larger as well. I would say that they are less detailed than Hell Let Loose. There's less like individual bits of scatter cover and, well, general graphical detail, right? The maps are bigger, sacrifices get made. One thing that Postscriptum does that Hell Let Loose doesn't is in urban areas, I think pretty much every single building you can go inside. Now, the interiors of the buildings, I've always called them fake North Korean towns because they pretty much all look the same inside, and there's no furniture inside the actual like housing buildings, so it does look weird, but it does make it so when you're going through these urban environments, it's a lot more tense because there could be like a big 3-4 story building in front of you, and there could be an enemy in any single window. You gotta be like on point a lot more in Postscriptum than compared to Hell Let Loose. While I never play tanks, I've heard that the armor play in Postscriptum is a lot better than Hell Let Loose. Even players that main tanks in Hell Let Loose have said it's better in Postscriptum. So if you're an armor player, Postscriptum is probably going to be a better thing for you than Hell Let Loose. Medics also in Postscriptum actually play a really important role because while in Hell Let Loose there's no ticket system, so if someone dies, you just respawn and it's fine. If you want to fast travel across the map, just kill yourself, it's fine. But in Postscriptum there is a ticket system. Now, I would say a lot of the time I'm not a fan of ticket systems anymore. I do like, just being able to play a lot more like freely, I guess. So medics are really important because if you get downed, a medic will come along and revive you. So your team doesn't lose a ticket, because when you get to 0 tickets, you lose. I think the guns are quote unquote like more realistic than Hell Let Loose as well. One feature that people have been asking for in Hell Let Loose for a very long time is being able to change the zeroing of your sights, if that's the right way to say it. But generally all weapons are zeroed for 100 meters, so you shoot and it's going to hit where you're aiming. If that point is at 100 meters, past that the bullet's going to drop. But in Postscriptum you can adjust your sights. I think on the basic rifles you can adjust them up to like 500 meters or further, but it's a nice touch for that added realism. There are also paratrooper missions in Postscriptum where you will start in planes and parachute in, and I think some maps have these planes constantly going over, so you can constantly be dropping in from a plane. That's something that in Hell Let Loose the devs have said they cannot do it. I don't know why, because both games are on Unreal Engine 4. I just don't know why, but it can be done. Postscriptum basically offers a more realistic, more brutal, a game that requires more teamwork and more communication than Hell Let Loose. So if you do like something like Hell Let Loose, but you want to play something that's a bit more hardcore, Postscriptum is for you, and I definitely do recommend Postscriptum. So because of this, I will be covering the game more. I will be putting out gameplay for the game as well, and covering how development continues for Postscriptum going forward. So if you want to stay up to date, subscribe to the channel, and if you liked the video, give it a like, dislike if you didn't. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.